All right. We want to welcome everyone to another live Q&A here at School of Sharks. It's an absolute pleasure to have you today. My name is Dan. I am your host, and I am excited for today's guests. For those of you who are not familiar with School of Sharks, this is an online community dedicated to bringing together some of the sharpest minds in the industry, active real estate investors from all fields, and making education available to all. We believe that although you can go fast by yourself, you can go far as a group. When you unite yourself, you can go farther faster. So with this in mind, we established this community. We would like to always serve you in the best of purposes, and that's really the goal that we are today. For full disclosure, we're using a service called StreamYard. So we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to see who you are in your comments. But before you do that, please let StreamYard have access to your profile so that we know who you are. And once you do that, if we can maybe type in your market and your specialty in real estate investing, that would be great. We've got a few folks right now. Mr. Justin Long, looking sharp. I got to. God did not make me pretty, so definitely want to welcome everyone. So without further ado, we want to go ahead and welcome our special guest for today. Sohail has been in the mortgage lending and servicing industry since 1997, having closed over $1 billion in loans, helping thousands of families get in their homes and investors purchase or refinance their property. So guys and gals, this is somebody who has absolute experience when it comes to the lending industry side of things, which if you're in the owner finance world, this is a big part of what you need to be paying attention to. He has successfully built servicing and origination departments for large banks like Chase, Bank of America, and others. His expertise includes note servicing, loan compliance, short sales, loan modifications, and residential mortgage loan, RMLO loan originations. Again, something that affects the owner finance world. Sohail is the co-founder of Home Key Servicing. Home Key Servicing services seller finance notes and private notes, helping investors remain compliant with regulations and ensuring that they are paid on time. He believes to be a servant leader in treating each investor's portfolio as his own, thus making sure the investor knows the status of their loan at every step. Guys, without further ado, we certainly want to give a warm welcome to Sohail here into the live Q&A. Welcome, my friend.
Hey,
tell the world a little bit about yourself.
Oh my God, you covered it. I don't know where to even begin. I've owned Home Key Servicing for about 18 months, and it's been an interesting ride. We launched the company in the middle of COVID, so it was not what we really expected with the way things were going, but fortunately we hit all our milestones that we were hoping to do.
Good deal. Now a particular area of expertise that you can help the real estate investing world is a lot of investors maybe perhaps begin in wholesaling or fix and flipping. Eventually, maybe they move on to rentals for the idea of passive cash flow. But at some point in their careers, they certainly add owner financing notes, sometimes by accident, sometimes by career choice. But tell us a little bit about that, and specifically how you can be of service to them if that's options that they've included in their business.
So when an investor decides to owner finance notes and get in that side of the business, ideally it's better to engage a servicer like us at the onset, primarily because if you're going to close on a transaction using an RMLO, it's ideal to work with us, let us know where you are in the process so we can stay engaged with the title company as well and make sure that the closing is done correctly and in a compliant manner. I'll give you an example. Many of the closings that we saw from 2021 where now the taxes are due, the prorated portion of the seller's taxes were not collected. So now, guess what happens? We have to send out emails to the investors saying, look, this is what your portion is. Make sure you either pay it to the tax entity or send it to us, and we'll forward it with the rest of the taxes. So those are some of the minor things that you just need to be aware of. And I know a lot of other people do it right, but there are plenty of folks, especially the ones that are not experienced, may not be able to get it done right.
So again, you just went through an amazing golden nugget, like it was just butter. Like I don't think the audience captured exactly what you said. So let's translate that just hypothetically into dollars and cents. Let's say that you owner financed, I don't know, $300,000 home.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say that the taxes on a $300,000 home at 2.65%, which is about average in Bexar County, it's about $8,000 for the year.
Right.
And let's say you closed in, I don't know, how about July 1st, midway through the year, and you did not collect that. What does that mean for you? I mean, not for you, but for the investor.
Well, for the investor, that's just $4,000 that they didn't pay ahead of time. So now it's money out of their pocket, and which in many cases they're not prepared for it. And it's just a big surprise. We experienced it last year where we had a couple of folks that are like, no, this is not right. No, it is right. Unfortunately,
it's not right. Is it not right because I don't have the money? Is that why it's not right?
That's what it was. And so it's we as a servicer, we confront the money on behalf of the lender, but then we have to obviously collect it from them, and there's various ways of accommodating that as well. But it's just something that we would prefer to get it ahead of time, so we don't have to think about it, and they don't have to think about it as well. It's just it's a smooth process from there.
Yeah. So to recap, just to kind of summarize and just fill in the blank, the best time to engage your loan servicer is
prior to closing.
Yeah, guys, get it right. Is Sohail going to be able to help you out 6 months down the line after you collect and after closing? I can tell you firsthand, he probably will, and he'll probably do it with maybe a smile. I can't guarantee that part, but really, that's
I don't smile a lot.
For sure. So let's go ahead and dig into who Sohail is, and let's get to know you a little bit. What would you think is the greatest strengths that you have as a business owner and even an investor yourself? What would you say is one of your biggest strengths?
So as a business owner, and I've owned multiple businesses in the past as well, I see myself as more of a problem solver. If I go look at a business, especially if it's an existing business, I can very quickly identify gaps and operational inefficiencies. Then that, once I've identified it, I can propose solutions, or if it's my business, I fix it, because that's the only way to scale. And if you don't fix the little things now, they'll just become much bigger things down the line.
Yeah. Problems don't ever disappear on their own.
No, you can ignore them. They only get worse.
They do. Well, that's a good, item to share. I think a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs, we all start from somewhere. So sometimes we have to pick and choose what is going to have our attention. So not ignoring the small things is something to definitely keep an eye out. Yeah. Now, it's not all a bed of roses. What would you say is one of your most challenging weaknesses?
So I am an introvert by nature, and when people see me or talk to me, they can tell that I'm more reserved. I am not very good at connecting with people very quickly. So if you're in an elevator with me, and if I don't know you, I will not strike up a conversation with you. That's just who I am. And so definitely working on getting better in that regard. The other part is I'm very direct, almost too direct, to the point where I can come across as brash. And so working on that as well. Unfortunately, as I get older, it just gets worse. So there's more effort to put in. But
I
I,
can't see you as brash. Maybe that's just me.
well, I can be at times. And the truth is, it's when it comes to my investors' money, and when it comes to the borrowers, and when it comes to compliance with servicing, it it has to be done right. There's no gray area in this business. It's very black and white. So you have to truly pay attention to those things. Otherwise, not only is the investor, impacting their money, I'm impacting my business as well.
Yeah, yeah. That's very humbling of you to say. What I'm gonna do next time you and I hang out
Mhm.
and we're in a social setting, I'm gonna say hi. My friend Sohail would like to introduce himself, and we'll get you out of your shell.
Okay, works for me.
Tanner, man, what a testimony if ever one existed. Has been by far the best servicer I've worked with. Only one I trust with my notes and love his growth mindset.
Thank
Good
you.
deal.
Thanks, Tanner.
Good deal. Let's talk about accomplishments.
Mm.
What would you say is one of the accomplishments that you are most proud of?
Uh, Most proud of. I'll share a little backstory about myself. Many years ago, I was in the jewelry business and ended up with some significant losses to where not only did I lose the business, I lost the house, my life had completely come apart. And I was homeless. I went to work for a truck stop and lived in their office, which was rat infested. So I'd work 16, 18 hours a day. It was a 24-hour truck stop, and I'd sleep in that office. And during that time, it was more of a time of reflection for me. And one of my really good friends, he called me, and the things he said is, what's the worst that can happen to you now? And he was very blunt. He's like, you can die. That's the worst, right? So for you from there, it's the only way is up. You can go up, you can rise, and so look at opportunities around you. So started looking at the mortgage business, really liked what I saw, and went to work in that industry as an employee for a major bank. Started to grow, and I was able, truly blessed to be able to impact so many lives in such a positive way. And it allowed me to grow not only personally but professionally as well. And here we
Wow, that's something I didn't know.
are.
So you didn't necessarily start with humble beginnings, but you ended up at one point there,
No, so I started with humble beginnings,
and then you made some,
rose,
and then you
and
made some
then
coin, and then you lost it.
exactly.
Wow, wow, that's super interesting. What would you say um, was the quality that helped you the most in regards to lifting yourself up from that situation?
I I try to look for the positive in every
Mhm.
situation, and at that time the fact that I could see, initially, obviously, for the first several months, I just couldn't see beyond. There was no end in sight. It was just, it kept getting bad to worse. The thought process then was, okay, I have to get out of this and get better. And so just being determined to do better and become better. I was not afraid of hard work. I had done it in high school. I had done it after high school. I'd done it here once I moved here. So the long hours didn't scare me. It's just getting to see it as a light at the end of the tunnel and not a train coming right back at you.
Mhm.
So I was able to see through all the fog and get ahead.
Very nice, very nice, and that's something that I think all of us can really kind of take to heart, because whether we're at the bottom of our bottoms so to speak. We have ups and downs, and looking at the positive of the circumstances, the proverbial turning, lemons into lemonade,
Sure.
uh, or margaritas, you know, is is something we all need to strive for. By the way, guys, if you want to get in contact with Sohail, either on a personal level or on a professional level, his contact information is kind of scrolling at the bottom. And if you guys see value in the information that we're providing, or in School of Sharks in general, please do me a personal favor and immediately now go ahead and like this video and share it to your personal wall. That would mean, the world to me for sure. This community is provided at no cost, and that doesn't mean there isn't a cost to us, but it's provided no cost to the community. So we certainly appreciate your support in the growth for sure. Now, when it comes to being a business owner and an investor in general, what would you say is what you enjoy the most? What have you found most enjoyable in this crazy labyrinth and ups and downs and roller coaster of business ownership and entrepreneurship?
The challenges. For me, no day is the same as the previous day, and it just makes it so much better because it's so much enjoyable. I get to talk to a lot of different people. There are times when, and if my folks are busy on the phones and a customer calls in, I'll just jump in and answer the call as a customer service call. And it's really wonderful talking to some of these people because you don't know what they're going through until they call you and tell you what they're experiencing. Our relationship with our investors is very strong, but I'm proud to say that our relationship with their borrowers is just as good as well. To when we call them, and people will fall behind from time to time. So there are times when we call and just ask, what's going on? What's your story? What happened? Why did you fall behind? And the ability to empathize with them and understand. And we're, I'm fortunate to say that 99, almost 100% of our portfolio that we service is none of it is in foreclosure. None of them. They're all current or maybe a little bit behind, but they're making payments.
I'm
So
going to
it's
stop you right there
mhm.
because a lot of people are going to hear that and say, "Oh, wow, you got lucky and you got really great borrowers." No,
No,
no, no. I mean, they help. Obviously, they pay,
yeah.
but the qualities of the servicer, and I'm going to jump in and say the human qualities of the servicer have a lot to do with that.
True.
Right? Go ahead.
And,
Yeah.
and and that's my goal even when I hire people. I want them to have that personality. I don't want them to be my replacement yet, but I want them to be someone that brings the strengths that help improve the business and help improve the quality of lives of these borrowers that we communicate with.
Very, very nice. Very nice. Well, I definitely appreciate you sharing, these moments with us with the group and guys, again, we love your support. If you guys find value in what you're hearing here and in us bringing top quality professionals like Sohail and others, please now take a moment and share this on your personal walls. Love to dig a little bit deeper, and I know that when we were preparing for the presentation for the interview, you shared with me an especially memorable moment throughout your career. I don't know if you feel comfortable sharing that with the group or not, but I'll put you on the spot, and hopefully you
So
feel comfortable.
I'll share something that is more recent that we experienced, and this was about a year ago, and it's related to my current business and how we were able to solve this major issue that an investor was experiencing. Um, we had this investor call us just out of the blue, and the issue this person was experiencing was they had a borrower who was looking to pay off their mortgage. They had been self-servicing for 5 years, and unfortunately, during those 5 years, their records really were not clear. The way the interest was applied and things like that, they were just so haphazard and misapplied that the payoff when they generated it was, according to the borrower, inaccurate, and it really was. and, and no, it's no way meant to say anything negative to for the investor. It's just that they wanted to self-service. It was their decision. When they brought it to me, they were actually facing a lawsuit by the borrower for the misapplication of
If you
interest.
don't mind, how much money would you roundabout say that was the discrepancy
About
between?
$36,000.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow,
Yes.
a big difference.
Big difference, and it was just not pretty because it was a mess. And so I brought it on because I have enormous respect for this person because they were trying to do the right thing. They just couldn't figure this issue out. So we boarded the loan and then had to build back 5 years of payment history. Mm. And I had to do it myself because it's not something I wanted anyone else to do it. Not that I didn't trust them to do it right,
Yeah, no, that's
but
complicated. Yeah, I'm
it's
sure.
very complicated. So building back several years of payment history, and finally I was able to come up with the right number. When I presented it to the investor, they're like, "No, this can't be true. This is much less than what I have." So I actually we went met up and printed out everything, showed them the history, and had to present to them saying, "Look, you have to offer correct the payoff, and this is the right amount. Otherwise, that lawsuit is just going to cost you a significantly more amount of money." And so at that point, they went ahead, accepted it, I generated the payoff for them, and they went ahead and presented it to the borrower, who accepted it in its form and paid off the loan.
Now I'm
And
curious, the number you came up with, it wasn't exactly what the borrower had
no, no,
calculated either, but on a scale of, like 0 being 100% the investor and 10 being 100% the borrower, where do you think it kind of landed on
we
whose favor, I guess?
we were tilted a little bit more towards the borrower,
Mm.
but they were the borrower came up with a payoff amount of like $15,000 lower than what we had presented.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
and yeah, it was just
Oh, okay.
yeah. But when we showed them the interest calculations and the math behind the interest calculations, and you know all these amortization schedules that are generated at closing, they're only accurate if the borrower pays exactly on those specific days.
Mhm. Yeah, a
Otherwise,
lot
they're
of people
not.
miss that. Yeah.
Exactly. And so that was my explanation to this borrower, where they were ahead a couple of days in a few months, and then they were late as much as 15, 20 days in a few months.
Mhm.
So the interest obviously would vary. And so when we were able to speak and present and talk to the borrower, it made a lot more sense to them. And they accepted the payoff, and the loan was paid off. Even the attorney that was representing them actually encouraged them to go ahead and accept it because it made the most sense to him.
Oh, very, very nice. Very, very nice. That really, guys, if you guys are listening, um, that I think is worth um, every reason why you should hire a quality servicer, like Sohail. I mean, you really need to. This is not something that you can afford to get wrong. And that's just really, really one example. I appreciate you sharing that, and I like the fact that at the end of the day, it sounds to me like you were dealing with reasonable people, both the investor and the borrower.
Oh
Thankfully,
yes, oh yes, yeah.
you know.
We've had our share of unreasonable on both sides,
Oh, we all have. I'm sure.
but but these were good people. They meant well on both sides, and it just wasn't adding up for either party. And so I'm glad I could get involved and make it work for them.
Good, good, good. We have a few familiar faces and friends in the audience. Charles, good to have you on board. And of course, Mr. Scott Horn. I couldn't agree more with Tanner Sohail is the best of the best for sure. Guys, this is a live Q&A. So I want to encourage you to take this opportunity not to write his number down and call him later, but to put your questions. Put your questions. If there's a specific question, we'll try to cover as many as we can before the show is over. So put them in the comments, and we'll go ahead and kind of cover them at that moment. So definitely keep that in mind. Now, at this time, I'd like for you, if possible, kind of address the bulk of our audience, the vast majority of those who are listening live, as well as the hundreds and thousands who will be listening later, either have not done their first deal, or maybe have done less than 5 deals total in their lifetime, whether it's wholesaling or fix and flip or owner finance or note origination or something. What words of wisdom from your personal experience would you like to share with them that can help them in their career moving forward?
Oh my. There's this one philosophy that I live by, and I try to adhere to it as much as I can. There are times I fall by the wayside, but it works for me, and it is to work with an abundance mindset. When you work with an abundance mindset, and the example that I want to give is, do not treat your competition as just competition. These are people that you can work with. These are, in my industry, I am happy to work with any of my competitors to bring not just change, but bring improvement, implement best practices. If they want to reach out to me, talk to me about how they can implement best practices, I am always willing to talk. Because there's enough business in the industry, not just servicing, but in real estate investing, where people can work together and still just do extremely well.
Work with an abundance mindset. Teamwork makes the dream work. Guys, success is a team effort. Even for like a celebrity. If you see a celebrity out there, you might think, oh, this individual athlete or this individual singer. Heck no. They've got dozens of people, if not hundreds of people working in the background. I like that. Now let's hone in on perhaps a little bit more of practical application that you can share with someone. What practical advice that maybe is a little bit more actionable on a daily, weekly, regular basis from your experience would you like to share?
So this is something that used to happen to me quite a bit, and it does happen periodically when it's something outside of my comfort zone. I used to get caught up in the analysis paralysis mode, and there are times where I would freeze, and it's like, okay, I have all the information, but I can't get rich with collecting information. I'll still, if I don't do anything with it, then I'll still be in the same place a year from now. So my advice is, don't get caught up in analysis paralysis mode. Go for it. Take action. What's the worst that can happen? You may have to come back, retrace your steps, start over, do it again, but keep doing it. Don't stop, because that is how you get ahead. The definition of insanity: doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So in this case, you don't just read, you take action.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that as practical advice, because I was having lunch with a gentleman earlier today. He had asked me, reached out to me and said, how can I, get involved in the real estate world? And, after a few, weeks going back and forth, went ahead and connected over lunch. And he tells me, I've been thinking of getting my real estate license. I'm like, great. How long? For about 6 months. I'm like, oh, if you would have gotten it 6 months ago, you'd probably have at least a dozen deals under your belt. Have you thought about that? And he's like, no. And I'm like, bro, I want you to do me a favor. When we leave the restaurant today, I want you to go to Champions. It's literally 10 minutes up the road on the right-hand side after 410. And I want you to fill out an application. And he's like, and I could tell that in his mind, it's like, is this really happening? Like, am I really doing it? And I said, I want you to do it. And if you don't do it,
Yep.
I don't ever want you to call me again.
True.
Because I only associate with action takers. This is not impossible. This is not hard. As a matter of fact, you admit it. You've been thinking about it for 6 months. So there's nothing more to think. You need to go do it.
Go do it.
Anything worth doing is worth doing right now.
True.
And when he heard that, he repeated it and he's like, anything worth doing is worth doing right now. And I could see that there was a fire in his eyes. So we'll see. I mean, I'll let the world know. I'll call him out, on social media. I'm like, it's 5:00. They already closed. Did you sign up?
You should. You should, because that'll make him take action. There's what I've noticed too is taking action outside of your comfort zone can be difficult and challenging. And if there's an accountability partner, then guess what? It becomes easier. So you can be his accountability partner.
Absolutely. So I'm super, super happy. So thank you so much for sharing that. To recap, words of wisdom, you want to make sure that you don't get caught in practical advice. You want to make sure you don't get caught in analysis paralysis. You want to take action. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it almost doesn't matter what you do.
True.
As long as you do something.
True. That's exactly right. Yep. You can't sit there thinking about it, reading about it. You have to take action at some point. And it applies to anything you want to do.
Yeah. Well, listen, I know your time is super valuable. We're going to have a few more minutes. If anyone has any questions, make sure you put them in the comments section. Otherwise, do not call my friend. You had an opportunity to reach out today. But before we kind of break a session, I do want to remind the audience that for the next week or so, Sohail is going to be taking a first position, a leadership position in the group, in the sense that he's going to be coordinating a few posts that are really meant to engage not just you guys, but me as well. So, for example, on Friday, he's working on a post that is going to help us. And it's something that he does on a regular basis to get the weekend started and really focus on family, outlook, happiness, really getting the mindset right. And there's going to be a challenge involved. I don't know what it is, but there's going to be a challenge involved. If you don't participate, there's no charge. Just go ahead and comment and say that you'll do it. And that's the first step to letting the world know in the universe that you're going to take action, which is really what we're talking about today. Saturday, he's going to be sharing a story relating to a particular challenge or lesson that he had and how he overcame it. Sunday's post, which is personally one of my favorite posts, he's going to be sharing what he does from a practical perspective to start the week. Because, guys, millionaires do not start their week on Mondays. We start the week on Sundays. So what does he do to get his week started off on the right pace? Monday's post is going to be a negotiation tool or script that has worked for him and can work for you. And Tuesday, he's going to be sharing tips that can overall help and boost your business. So I don't see any questions in the comment section. That's on y'all, folks. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for being here, Sohail. We're always happy to have you on board. Always happy to have your experience. Are there any words of wisdom that you'd like to leave the audience with? Really, the platform is all yours for the next 2 seconds.
Oh my God! Just follow the path. Whatever path you've chosen, if it makes sense, do it. Go for it and succeed.
Follow the path. I love that. You don't need to make the path. The path is there.
And trust your gut. Trust your gut.
What's that?
Trust your gut. Very
trust
important.
Your gut. Yeah, usually your gut's not wrong. I heard trust your God, but that also works too.
That works too.
Trust your gut.
Except for the non-believers.
Of course, we'll go with God. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Again, if you find value and these short live Q&As, please do me a favor, help the group grow by sharing on your personal wall. And until next time, I certainly hope you all have an awesome evening. Thank you so much, Sohail. You have a great one. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.